Distrust. It's something you should do whenever I promise to make something. But it's also the name of a pretty neat survival horror game inspired by The Thing. All it really shares is the setting. In reality, it's more like a point-and-click stalker, complete with all the Eurojank that implies. When a top-secret polar research base goes dark, your plucky team hops into a helicopter and flies in to save the day. But disaster strikes, and you crash on the outskirts of the complex. Here you find that the base is deserted and in serious disrepair. Your team's set to scavenging whatever resources they can find and push deeper into the complex to unravel the mystery.
Sounds pretty fucking intense if you ask me.
Who are you people?
Distrust has a huge range of characters to choose from, each with their own abilities. These include Olaf, a fire-tending grandpa, Irma, anorexia incarnate, James, nudist Captain Cold, Raj, probably has lung cancer, Ben, Mr. Fix-It, Mary, protein shake aficionado, Casper, owns a toolbox, Olga, eats her carrots, Emil, lives on Monster Energy, Katashi, basically Terminator, Natalie, tool-cleaning grandma, Nicole, owns a gun, Martin, door-kicking uncle, Philip, Ronald, antisocial autist. Each of these characters either have an unlock requirement or must be found and saved during a run. However, if you want to win the game, I suggest you pick my totally patented A-team. Olaf, because he uses less fuel than the other survivors, Mary, because her protein shakes are absolutely broken, and Martin, because
Knock, knock, open up the door, it's real. With the non-stop pop out and stainless steel. Which button makes this thing go?
Distrust is controlled mainly with a mouse, with keyboard keys just acting as shortcuts. In a strange way, it feels like the game was intended to be a mobile game at some point, with how the GUI is laid out. This makes the game incredibly comfortable and easy to play. However, if you want to maximize your odds of survival, you'll want to be intensely micromanaging your team at all times. On top of a health bar, each survivor has 3 primary needs: warmth, stamina, and hunger. Replenishing warmth requires a sealed building with its furnace fueled. If the front door or any of the windows are open or broken, the heat will be lost. Repairing these costs valuable wood. Replenishing stamina usually requires you to find a bed to sleep on. However, sleeping has its own risks.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
Finally, replenishing hunger requires food. You can find these whilst scavenging, and most of them can be cooked to further improve their effectiveness. Or you could just poke random alien artifacts and hope for the best. Sometimes these will completely replenish one of those bars. Now, some food items don't just affect hunger. For example, cooked food will replenish some warmth, whilst coffee and protein bars will restore some stamina. The game doesn't tell you what does what, however, so it's down to you to use common sense and experiment with items. Remember how I said Mary's protein shakes are completely broken? This is because whenever Mary cooks anything, you also get a free shake, and they also restore a small amount of stamina. This makes them incredibly useful for fending off sleep deprivation, and for making your meager food supplies last much longer, and with clever use, you'll never go hungry. While scavenging, you'll also find items to help you with exploring. Tools like lockpicks and crowbars can help you open locked doors, whilst resources such as coal and oil can be used to fuel the furnaces and generators inside buildings. While multiple tools can be used for the same task, which you'll choose for any given situation can have a massive impact. For example, if you crowbar or shoot a door open, it'll break the door, whilst picking the lock will take longer, but will leave it intact. On top of this, most tools will eventually break, and repairing them requires access to a workbench and rare resources, so you'll have to take that into consideration too. Unless you bring Martin with you, who doesn't need any stupid tools. No, he has the power of the mighty boot, and will kick open any door in his way. This makes Martin extremely useful for quickly opening buildings whilst the rest of the team set to looting them. Along with furnaces, you'll also find generators. These only take oil, but when fueled will power the building's lights. Your team move a lot faster in lit buildings and can automatically spot all lootable items, whereas in dark buildings they'll only see the ones in front of their flashlight. Finally, some items you'll find are plot related. For example, this reflector thing we'll be using to
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
While tiny effects like starving or freezing
Oh yeah, no, they're not important at all.
While tiny effects such as starving or freezing will only deal health damage, if your survivors go too long without rest, or if they have recklessly poked every single artifact they find, they'll eventually get an insanity effect. These strange effects range from amusing to dangerous. For example, this one Olaf has makes him constantly hum a tune. It can only be heard when he's selected, and apart from being kind of annoying, has very little real effect. To cure these effects, the survivor needs to get a long rest in a warm bed, and that carries its own risk. They run the risk of summoning an anomaly. These otherworldly entities are drawn to dreaming people's brainwaves or some shit, and they pose a serious threat to your health. Each of them have their own effects and weaknesses. Alternatively, you can just use anomaly traps, thinly veiled references to the ones from Ghostbusters. Simply drop one on the floor and watch as any anomaly that floats over it is instantly killed. Except for fire golems. Fuck fire golems. Their only weakness is bullets, and if you have none, they're basically guaranteed to kill one of your survivors.
That's gay.
As the team explores deeper into the facility, it becomes increasingly clear that the base was built to study a crashed UFO. Outside the UFO sits the last functioning helicopter. However, in true plot fashion, the keys are inside the ship itself. Your team enter the UFO, and the ship's pilot closes the door behind them. It reveals that it turned all the humans in the facility into fuel, and intends to do the same to you. You now have a number of choices. You can either sit around whilst it melts your face, Ark of the Covenant style, shoot the ship's reactor in spite, blowing it and everyone else up, or it's revealed that the third survivor summoned the team as part of a deal it made with the ship to bring it more fuel in exchange for it letting them go. But wait, there's one more ending. Remember that reflector thing we picked up? It's the secret source required to get the good ending. By sacrificing power generators to it, we can overload it. This gives us an extra option where we slot it into the reactor and for some reason trigger a self-destruct system? The team escape in true action movie style, flying away as the ship explodes and barely escaping the blast. And with that, the day is saved. Distrust is a strange game to recommend. It's certainly got a unique charm to it, but it constantly feels like it's missing something, and that's kind of disappointing. But for what seems to be Alloware Premium's first game, it's a damn solid one. The music is good, the art style is nice, and the gameplay loop is a fun one. Oh, and it also has some of the best emotes on Steam. Seriously, just look at them. I give it 7 protein shakes out of 5 frostbitten toes.